Just moments ago, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett dropped a bombshell about Diddy's secret world. The couple's shocking revelations have left fans speechless and the internet on fire. What hidden crimes are they talking about? Stay tuned as we uncover every twist and turn of this jaw-dropping story. The day began like any other, with the usual morning scroll through Instagram. But in a moment that would soon go viral, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett posted a single cryptic message that set the internet ablaze. The image was stark and simple, a black square with white text reading, "The real Diddy will be revealed tonight." No further explanation, no hashtags, just a promise that something was about to break wide open. It didn't take long for the post to spread like wildfire. Within minutes, every gossip blog, entertainment news site, and Twitter feed was sharing the screenshot. The captionless post hinted at something explosive, and speculation ran rampant. Was it a new song? A film project? Or something darker? The message had an ominous tone that was impossible to ignore. Within hours, social media was flooded with fan theories. Some were convinced it was a marketing stunt, maybe an elaborate promo for a new project. Others were sure it was the start of a scandal that would put previous Hollywood controversies to shame. The words "the real Diddy" took on a life of their own, inspiring hashtags like #RealDiddy and #SmithSpeakOut that quickly climbed the trending charts. Meanwhile, journalists scrambled to decode what Will and Jada were hinting at. Major entertainment outlets posted breathless headlines. Will and Jada drop mysterious bombshell. Is Diddy involved? And Hollywood power couple teases shocking revelation. What are they hiding? Rumors of everything from secret affairs to hidden crimes swirled in the online echo chamber. As the day progressed, small details began to emerge. A few eagle-eyed followers noticed that Jada had liked several tweets referencing past Diddy controversies, tweets that spoke of betrayal, manipulation, and dark deals behind the scenes. Others pointed out that Will had recently been seen at a recording studio known for its hush-hush dealings with some of Diddy's closest associates. The atmosphere was electric. Fans waited breathlessly for more clues, but none came. Will and Jada remained silent, letting the single cryptic post do the talking. The lack of context only heightened the sense of intrigue. It was as if the world had collectively paused, waiting for the next shoe to drop. Behind the scenes, Diddy's team was reportedly in a panic. According to an anonymous source who claimed to work closely with Diddy, the message blindsided them. They didn't see this coming, the source said. They are scrambling to figure out what Will and Jada know, and how to shut it down before it goes any further. The music mogul himself, usually so confident and in control, was said to be on high alert. He made a few cryptic posts of his own, short clips of him in the studio, surrounded by his entourage, looking unbothered. But those who knew him best said he was anything but calm. There was a crack in his carefully constructed image, and Will and Jada seemed determined to pry it open. By evening, the post had racked up millions of likes and shares. News outlets that normally covered celebrity baby bumps and red carpet fashion were suddenly dissecting every word in Will and Jada's message. A few insiders hinted that this wasn't just celebrity drama, it was something bigger, something that could shake the foundations of the entertainment world. Theories multiplied with every passing hour. Some said Will and Jada had stumbled on a trove of damning evidence, financial records, emails, maybe even recordings. Others speculated that it was a personal vendetta. After all, Will and Diddy had once been close, attending parties and working together on music projects. But if the rumors were true, that friendship had curdled into something toxic. In the hours leading up to midnight, the atmosphere turned feverish. Influencers and self-styled internet detectives pored over old interviews, looking for clues. They posted screenshots of past run-ins between Will and Diddy, awkward moments at award shows, cold shoulders at charity galas, sly comments that, in hindsight, took on new meaning. Jada's Instagram stories only deepened the mystery. She posted a single, fleeting video of her looking into the camera with an expression that was equal parts defiant and weary. "Truth always comes out," she said, her voice calm but firm. The clip was barely 10 seconds long, but it was enough to ignite another round of speculation. Meanwhile, mainstream news outlets scrambled to keep up with the online buzz. CNN Entertainment and TMZ posted breathless updates, citing sources close to the couple and promising more to come. Late-night talk show hosts joked about the post, but there was an undercurrent of genuine curiosity in their laughter. Whatever Will and Jada were hinting at, it was no small matter. As midnight approached, the energy reached a fever pitch. Fans around the world set their alarms and poured coffee, determined to be awake when Will and Jada finally revealed the truth. Comment sections on Instagram and Twitter were a maelstrom of theories, memes, and raw excitement.
What do they know? One user asked. Is Diddy going down for real this time? Another replied.
Even in the calm of his studio, Diddy couldn't ignore the noise. A source said he spent the evening in frantic calls with his team, demanding to know what Will and Jada were planning. He issued a brief statement to the press. I have no idea what this is about, but I stand by my work and my name.
It was a measured response, but it did little to calm the storm. As the clock struck midnight, the world waited. Phones buzzed and screens lit up, every eye turned to the power couple's accounts. Would they go live? Would they drop a video or another cryptic message? No one knew, but everyone was watching. In that final moment of quiet before the reveal, it felt like the entire world was holding its breath. Will and Jada had managed to do what few others could. They had captured everyone's attention, unified by a single burning question. What was the real Diddy? As the digital clock on everyone's phones ticked past midnight, the wait was finally over. Without warning, Will and Jada went live.
The notification pinged across millions of devices simultaneously. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith are live. It felt like the world stopped in that moment, every fan, critic, and gossip columnist holding their breath. The live stream started with a grainy shot of Will adjusting the camera. His face was solemn, the familiar easy smile nowhere to be seen. Jada sat beside him, her expression equally serious, her eyes locked on the screen. The air around them crackled with tension. Hey everyone, Will began, his voice steady but low. We know you've all been wondering about the post. We're here tonight because it's time to talk about the real Diddy. He paused, as if weighing the gravity of his next words. We're done being quiet.
Jada leaned in. What we're about to share tonight isn't easy. It's not for headlines or likes. This is about the truth.
And we have undeniable proof.
Her words sent a shiver down the collective spine of the internet.
The live chat was an endless scroll of reactions, shocked emojis, exclamation points, and demands for answers. Thousands of comments flooded the screen every second. What proof? What's going on? Is this real? Will and Jada's eyes flickered over the messages, but they stayed focused on the camera, determined to keep control of the story.
Will cleared his throat. We're not going to drag this out.
For years, there have been whispers about Diddy, things that don't make it to the headlines. We've seen things, heard things, and tonight, we're done letting those things stay buried. Jada nodded. We've got receipts. Real evidence. It's not gossip, it's documented, dated, and undeniable. Her tone was calm, but her hands trembled slightly as she spoke. The weight of what they were about to do was obvious.
The chat exploded.
Show us. Don't hold back. What do you have? The comments blurred into a wall of frantic demands. Will leaned back in his chair, his face lit by the glow of the phone's camera. Before we show you, we want to say this isn't about hate.
This is about accountability. We've been part of this industry long enough to know how deep the lies go.
But when you know the truth, you can't keep it to yourself anymore.
Jada took a deep breath. For a long time, we thought maybe it wasn't our place to speak out. We thought maybe the truth would come out on its own.
But it never does. So tonight, we're telling it ourselves. The couple fell silent for a moment. The weight of the decision they'd made hung in the air, thick and heavy. Will finally reached for a tablet resting beside him. What we're going to show you first is a small part of what we found. But it's enough to show you that this isn't a story we're making up. He tapped the screen, and an image flashed up, an email thread dated back several years. It was blurry, the text hard to make out, but the subject line was enough to send a jolt of shock through the chat. Payment plan. Keep quiet. Jada explained.
This is just one of the messages we've found.
A lot of people have been paid off to keep quiet about Diddy's actions.
People who were too scared to speak up.
But this is the start of us showing you what's really been going on.
The chat was on fire.
This can't be real. Who else knows? How deep does this go? Will and Jada let the comments flow, their faces a mix of resolve and nervous energy.
Will continued. We're not going to share everything in one night. We've got to be smart about this. But understand, what we're sharing tonight is the tip of the iceberg. And we've got a lot more to say.
Jada's eyes glinted with determination. We're doing this live so no one can twist our words or edit the story. You're hearing it straight from us.
No media spin.
No PR cover-up. The couple's decision to go live had caught Diddy's team completely off guard. Just minutes before the broadcast,
Insiders reported that Diddy's phone had been ringing non-stop, lawyers, publicists, damage control specialists all scrambling to get ahead of the narrative. But Will and Jada had taken the conversation directly to the people, bypassing the gatekeepers who usually dictated how these stories were told. The live stream's viewer count ticked higher and higher, breaking 1 million, then 2 million. Fans around the world watched from bedrooms, kitchens, offices, their eyes glued to the unfolding drama. It felt raw, unscripted, and impossible to look away from.
Will took a deep breath and leaned closer to the camera. We know some of you might not believe us. That's okay.
But what we're showing you tonight isn't speculation, it's real.
And it's time to stop pretending that it's not.
Jada added, this is bigger than us.
We're not the only ones who've seen it. We're not the only ones who've lived with it.
But we're the ones speaking up tonight. As the live feed rolled on, they fielded questions from the flood of comments.
Some fans wanted to know how they'd gotten the emails.
Others demanded to know who else was involved. A few even begged them to stop, worried for their safety. But Will and Jada stayed firm, refusing to back down.
We've been in this industry too long to be scared now, Will said. We've seen too much to stay quiet.
And after tonight, you'll start to see it too. Jada closed her eyes for a moment, gathering her thoughts.
There's a lot more to come.
We're not done tonight, and we're not backing down. We're just getting started. The chat flooded with heart emojis, clapping hands, and messages of support. The atmosphere was electric, but also tinged with unease. Everyone watching knew this wasn't a performance. It was a real confrontation with secrets that had been buried for far too long. As the live stream began to wind down, Will and Jada promised to return with more evidence in the coming days. We're going to show you everything, Will said, his voice resolute.
No more lies.
No more hiding. With that final promise, the stream ended. The world sat in stunned silence, screens glowing in the darkness. The couple's faces disappeared from view, but their words lingered like a spark in dry grass, ready to ignite the next chapter of this bombshell story. The day after Will and Jada's explosive live stream, the internet was ablaze with questions and speculation. Their promise to show undeniable proof had turned a late-night confession into an international scandal. But the real shock came the following evening, when Jada posted a new video, one that would push the entire drama into uncharted territory. In the video, Jada sat alone in a softly lit room, the glow of her laptop screen reflecting in her eyes.
She didn't waste time on pleasantries.
You've seen what we shared last night, she began.
But there's more, so much more.
We're talking about documents, files, and records that have been hidden for too long. With a flick of her wrist, she turned the laptop toward the camera, revealing a folder titled, Diddy, The Hidden Dealings. Her fingers hovered over the trackpad, the tension in her face unmistakable.
These files were encrypted, she said calmly. We had to work with some experts to unlock them.
What you're about to see is just a taste, enough to prove that what we're saying isn't some rumor or headline.
It's real.
The video cut to a series of screenshots, emails with subject lines like silent agreement and payment structure. There were spreadsheets listing names and numbers, amounts paid, dates, and cryptic notes that hinted at something much bigger than a simple misunderstanding.
The internet erupted.
Fans, journalists, and conspiracy theorists poured over every blurry screenshot, desperate to decode the meaning behind the numbers. Some files had redacted names, which only fueled the speculation.
Who else was involved? What were they hiding?
Within hours, the story had spread beyond the usual gossip circles. Financial analysts weighed in on the strange patterns in the spreadsheets, calling it a shadow network of payments and favors. Cybersecurity experts debated how the files had been obtained, while legal commentators warned that Will and Jada might be treading on dangerous ground. Meanwhile, Diddy's team scrambled to respond. Late that evening, they released a short, tense statement. These allegations are false and defamatory. Any so-called evidence is either fabricated or taken out of context. We are considering all legal options to address this smear campaign.
The statement did little to calm the storm.
If anything, it only deepened the sense that something real and dangerous was unfolding. Fans compared the screenshots to old stories about Diddy's empire, whispers of sudden payouts, sudden disappearances, and a culture of silence around his inner circle. At the same time, a wave of new voices joined the conversation. Anonymous sources claiming to have worked for Diddy began leaking cryptic messages. You don't even know the half of it, one posted. Those files are just the tip of the iceberg.
Jada herself reappeared on social media, posting a simple caption over a blurred screenshot of a contract. The truth is in the details. Her calm, matter-of-fact tone was in stark contrast to the frenzy outside her digital doorstep. For the first time, tech experts became part of the story. Cybersecurity forums lit up with debates about the authenticity of the files. A few experts posted analyses of the metadata, saying it seemed consistent with older emails, not recent fabrications. Others cautioned that even if the files were real, proving their context would be another battle entirely. The next day, Jada and Will held a short press conference, an informal one streamed from their living room. Will spoke first, his voice measured but unflinching. "We didn't come by these files lightly," he said. "We were given them by someone who wanted the truth to come out. And we're not going to let them be buried again." Jada added, "We're not saying every single thing in these files is the end of the story. But it's a start, a window into what's been going on behind the scenes." As they spoke, they promised to release more details in the coming days, once they could verify everything they had. "We're not here to ruin lives," Will said quietly. "We're here to shine a light. If that makes people uncomfortable, so be it." Meanwhile, the world outside their door seemed to split into two camps, those who believed them, and those who thought it was all an elaborate hoax. #Diddy Secrets and #Smith Bombshell continued to trend, while others argued that this was nothing but a celebrity soap opera designed to distract from real issues. But the couple's unwavering tone and the raw nature of the files couldn't be dismissed easily. Even some of Diddy's staunchest supporters began to wonder if there was more truth to this than they'd ever imagined. The files themselves became the centerpiece of the conversation. Screenshots circulated like contraband, shared in private DMs and on hidden forums. Some fans even claimed to have decrypted parts of the data themselves, piecing together a story of hidden payoffs and secret meetings. Yet with every new revelation came a new layer of danger. A prominent entertainment lawyer, speaking anonymously to a news outlet, warned that if Will and Jada were right, this was more than just celebrity gossip, it was evidence of financial wrongdoing on a massive scale. "There's a lot at stake here," the lawyer said. "This could lead to lawsuits, even criminal charges, if what they're saying holds up. But it's also risky, these are powerful people, and they don't like their secrets exposed." The tension reached a fever pitch when a clip of Diddy, filmed outside a luxury hotel, surfaced. In the video, he looked haggard, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. When asked by a reporter about Will and Jada's claims, he simply shook his head and said, "It's all lies." But the weariness in his voice didn't go unnoticed. Back in their home, Will and Jada were already preparing for their next move. Late one night, Jada posted a photo of a stack of hard drives and labeled folders on her Instagram story. "This is just the beginning," she wrote. The message was clear, they were far from done. For fans and skeptics alike, it was a chilling moment. The files were real, or at least, they looked real. And if Will and Jada were telling the truth, they were about to blow open a story that reached far beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. In the final moments of that day, the world seemed to hold its breath once more. Will and Jada had thrown down the gauntlet, and the next chapter promised to be even more explosive. The missing files weren't just about secrets, they were about power, betrayal, and the unstoppable momentum of truth finally clawing its way to the surface. The internet had barely caught its breath from the revelations of the missing files when Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith dropped yet another bombshell. This time, it wasn't just about encrypted files or shady payments, it was about the tangled history of a once close friendship that had turned into a bitter betrayal. Will and Diddy's friendship had been the stuff of Hollywood legend. They had met at a party in the early 2000s, both young kings of their respective empires, Will, the charming movie star, and Diddy, the unstoppable music mogul. They were seen at award shows, vacationing in exotic locales, and even collaborating on a few music ventures. Their bond was a symbol of power and possibility. But in a new video, Will sat alone, his face lit by the glow of a single lamp. The easy smile was gone, replaced by a steely resolve. "I need to talk about how this all started," he said softly. "About how someone I thought was a friend turned out to be something else entirely." He began to tell the story of how their friendship had unraveled. "It started," he said, "with small cracks, little betrayals that could have been dismissed as misunderstandings. But over time, those cracks grew wider, until the whole foundation collapsed." Will described how he had trusted Diddy with personal projects, scripts he was writing, film ideas he was excited about. "I thought we were brothers," he said. "I thought we were building something together." But time and again, he said,
He found out that Diddy was working behind his back, making moves to sabotage those same projects. Jada had her own memories to share. In an Instagram story that same night, she described the late-night phone calls, Diddy's voice low and smooth, but the words edged with threats. It was always framed as advice, she said, her eyes flashing. But it felt like a warning, like he was telling us to stay in line or else. The couple's stories hit a nerve. Fans had always seen Will and Diddy as two of the most powerful men in entertainment, kings of their own kingdoms. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. A story of ego, control, and a friendship poisoned by secrets. Old photos resurfaced, showing them laughing together at parties, arms slung around each other's shoulders. To the outside world, they were the definition of brotherhood. But now, those same images felt like ghosts of a trust long since shattered. Will didn't shy away from the pain of that betrayal. When someone you trust turns on you, it cuts deeper than any headline, he said in the video. We thought we were building an empire together, but he was building his own, and we were just stepping stones. The comments poured in, fans expressing shock, others saying they always suspected something had gone wrong. Some called it a tragedy, others said it was just another chapter in the messy world of celebrity friendships. But for Will and Jada, it was more than that. It was personal. Insiders began to fill in the gaps, sharing stories of how Will's projects would mysteriously stall just as Diddy launched something similar. Rumors of Diddy using his influence to sway studios, of whispered campaigns to discredit Will's ideas. Suddenly, they didn't seem so far-fetched. Jada spoke about the strain it put on their marriage, too. We were trying to hold it together, she said, her voice cracking. We thought maybe we were imagining it, maybe we were just being paranoid. But in the end, we couldn't ignore it anymore. The drama wasn't just about money or power, it was about trust. About what happens when two people who should have been allies turn into rivals. And it was about the cost of speaking the truth, even when it meant burning bridges that had once felt unbreakable. Journalists dug into the history of their friendship, unearthing old interviews where Will spoke glowingly of Diddy. He's a visionary, Will had said in one red carpet clip from years ago. He's one of the most driven people I know. Watching it now, it felt like a cruel irony. In a radio interview from that same era, Diddy had called Will a brother for life. But as the details of the betrayal spilled out, fans couldn't help but wonder, had it all been a performance? A way for Diddy to keep his enemies close while quietly working to undermine them? The questions only grew more intense when Jada posted a cryptic message on Instagram. Sometimes the people you call family are the ones who hurt you most. The post got millions of likes within hours, with fans and celebrities chiming in. Some offered support. Others warned her to be careful. Powerful people don't like having their masks torn away. Diddy's team, meanwhile, was in damage control mode. A statement from his lawyer called Will's claims baseless and defamatory. It said that any friendship between the two men had been professional at best, and that Diddy had always supported Will's work. But to those watching the drama unfold, the cracks in that polished image were impossible to ignore. Too many coincidences. Too many stories lining up. And too much at stake for it all to be brushed aside as baseless. For Will, the decision to speak out wasn't easy. In his video, he admitted that he'd been wrestling with whether to say anything at all. I didn't want to turn this into a war, he said. But when you've been silent too long, the truth starts to eat away at you. And I'm done letting it. As he spoke, Jada sat beside him, her hand on his. It was a quiet moment, but it spoke volumes. This wasn't just about exposing Diddy, it was about reclaiming their own narrative. About refusing to let someone else's betrayal define their story. The chapter ended with a promise, one that would send chills through the hearts of anyone following the saga. We're not done, Will said, his voice calm but firm. There's more you need to see. More you need to hear. And we're going to show you everything. The world watched, breathless, as the once shiny image of friendship and success cracked and splintered in real time. The past was no longer a safe place to hide. And for Will and Jada, there was no going back. The story was no longer just about broken friendships and cryptic posts. It had morphed into something far more sinister. Will and Jada's revelations had cracked the dam, and what came spilling out was a river of money, secrets, and hidden agendas. In their next video, posted late one night, Jada sat at a desk piled high with folders and USB drives. The camera focused on her determined expression as she began to speak. We've shown you hints and pieces, she said calmly. Tonight, we're going to show you the money. She tapped on a folder labeled financial links. Inside were spreadsheets, wire transfer records, and signed contracts. Proof, she said, of a hidden web of financial dealings that went straight to the heart of Diddy's empire. Will, sitting beside her, explained how it all fit together. We're not talking about a few suspicious payments, he said. We're talking about a pattern, a system. Money moving through shell companies, payments that don't match up, and people who were paid to keep their mouths shut. The chat went wild. Fans and skeptics alike bombarded them with questions. Who else was involved? How did you get this? Is this even legal? Will and Jada answered what they could, but they made one thing clear. They weren't going to stop. One spreadsheet in particular captured everyone's attention. It showed dozens of payments over the past decade, large sums of money flowing to names that had been carefully blacked out. But a few names weren't redacted, and they were names that made the entertainment world sit up and take notice. Jada held up the document. This isn't just about Diddy, she said quietly. It's about the whole system, how power and money work behind the scenes, and how silence is bought and paid for. The record suggested that certain individuals had been receiving regular consulting fees or appearance bonuses for years, payments that, when cross-referenced with other sources, didn't seem to match any known business deals or public appearances. Some of those names were tied to major record labels, others to influential media outlets. The implications were staggering. Anonymous insiders began to come forward in whispers and DMs. I worked on some of those deals. One message read, "It's worse than you think." Another claimed that the payments were hush money, plain and simple, meant to keep damaging stories under wraps. The Smiths didn't reveal everything in one go. Instead, they promised to release the documents in pieces, enough to show the pattern, but also to protect the sources who had risked everything to share the information. We're not out to ruin lives, Will said firmly. We're out to stop the lies. Meanwhile, the pressure on Diddy's team was mounting. His lawyer released a statement calling the documents fabrications and saying any payments were standard business transactions. But the carefully worded denials did little to slow the storm. Journalists pounced on the numbers, cross-referencing them with known projects and public appearances. It wasn't long before they started to see connections, deals that didn't add up, events that seemed to have been propped up by hidden money. The whispers of financial cover-ups turned into open speculation on talk shows and podcasts. Jada spoke of the human cost of those payments, too. It's not just money, it's about control, she said. People's lives were shaped by these deals. Careers were made and broken because of who was willing to take a check and who wasn't. For fans, it was a jarring shift. The story had started as gossip, two celebrities hinting at a personal betrayal. Now it was about something bigger, the way power and money could be used to silence voices and rewrite the rules of the game. Old interviews resurfaced, like one in which a young artist said he'd been blacklisted after refusing to play by Diddy's rules. They made it impossible for me to work, he'd said at the time. Back then, it sounded like sour grapes. Now, in light of the money trail, it sounded like a warning. Meanwhile, Diddy himself stayed mostly silent, only appearing once in a carefully staged video where he said, "I've built my empire through hard work. I won't let anyone take that away from me." But his usual swagger seemed forced, his voice lacking its usual certainty. The backlash was swift and fierce. Fans who had once idolized him started to ask hard questions. #DiddySecrets was joined by new hashtags, #FollowTheMoney and #TruthInTheNumbers. Social media was a battlefield of opinions, some defending Diddy, others calling for his head. Amidst the noise, Will and Jada remained calm. They posted another short video, this one showing them sitting together, their hands clasped tightly. "We're not doing this because we hate anyone," Will said, his voice low. "We're doing this because the truth matters." Jada added, "We know there's a cost to speaking out. We're ready for it." For many watching, it was a chilling moment. Two of the most famous people in the world, risking everything to pull back the curtain on an industry that had always seemed untouchable. The money trail wasn't just about Diddy, it was about a culture of silence and complicity that had allowed him to thrive. As the days passed, more leaks emerged. Emails from assistants who said they'd been asked to handle payments discreetly. Text messages from people inside Diddy's circle, warning each other to stay off the radar. Each new revelation added fuel to a fire that was quickly becoming an inferno. Will and Jada promised there was more to come. "We're not done," Will said in a final post that night. "This isn't just about us or him. It's about everyone who's ever been told to stay silent." The world watched, riveted. What had started as a cryptic Instagram post was now a full-blown financial scandal, with two of Hollywood's brightest stars refusing to back down. And in the shadows, Diddy's empire looked a little less invincible with every passing day. By now, the world was fully tuned into the drama unfolding between Will, Jada, and Diddy. But in their latest live video, the couple revealed that what they'd shown so far was just the beginning. The money trail was real, they insisted, but it was only part of a larger system of silence and complicity, a system that stretched far beyond Diddy himself. Will's face was calm, but there was an edge to his voice. "We're not just talking about one man," he said, staring straight into the camera. "We're talking about the way Hollywood protects its own. The way power shields power." Jada nodded, her expression grim. For years, people have whispered about the cover-ups. About the deals that never made it to the public, the scandals that never saw the light of day. "We're done with whispers." They described conversations they'd had with industry insiders, people too scared to go on record, but willing to share their stories in private. "These are people who've seen it firsthand," Jada said. "People who know how the machine works, and how it's kept running on secrets." One of the first things they revealed was the role of the major studios. According to Will, big production houses and record labels had worked to bury stories that threatened to tarnish Diddy's image. They didn't want the bad press, he explained. Diddy was too valuable, too many deals, too many connections. So when things got messy, they paid to make it go away. Jada showed emails that hinted at those deals, messages between executives discussing how to manage the narrative, how to minimize the fallout. She scrolled past lines that read like a Hollywood playbook: coordinate messaging, discredit sources, control the damage. The chat exploded. Fans who had grown up believing in the glamour of Hollywood were now seeing it as a fortress of lies and payoffs. "This is insane," one comment read. Another simply said, "I feel like my whole childhood was a lie." But Will and Jada weren't done. They spoke about media connections, too, journalists who had been paid to stay quiet, or who had traded silence for exclusive access. "It's a cycle," Will said. "You keep your mouth shut, and you get the first look at the next big project. You don't, and you're out." Jada added, "We've seen it up close. Stories that should have been on the front page buried in the back of a gossip column. Reporters who suddenly go quiet after one phone call. That's not journalism, it's protection." Meanwhile, Hollywood's reaction was swift. Some of the biggest names in the industry started to weigh in. A few spoke up in support of Will and Jada, posting cryptic messages of their own. Others rushed to distance themselves, deleting old photos with Diddy or issuing vague statements about respect for everyone's truth. But behind the scenes, the real battle was playing out in boardrooms and back channels. Diddy's team, already reeling from the financial revelations, now had to contend with the possibility that the entire industry was turning against them. Lawyers for major studios issued carefully worded denials. "We categorically deny any involvement in covering up misconduct," one statement read. "Any implication otherwise is both false and defamatory." But those statements only fanned the flames. The internet had tasted blood, and no one was backing down. In one of the most striking moments of the video, Jada played a voicemail, an anonymous tip left by someone claiming to have worked in a PR firm tied to Diddy. The voice was muffled, disguised, but the words were unmistakable. "They pay to bury the bad stories. That's how it works. Always has, always will." The chat went into overdrive. Fans posted theories, charts, and screenshots of old interviews. They re-watched award show speeches and red carpet appearances, looking for signs of the hidden drama playing out behind the smiles. Some even called it the biggest Hollywood conspiracy since the #Me Too movement. For Will and Jada, it wasn't about conspiracies, it was about finally being able to tell the truth. "We're tired of being told to play nice," Will said quietly. "We're tired of being told that if we want to keep working, we need to keep our mouths shut." Jada leaned in. "We know what we're risking. We know what it means to speak out against people who've spent their whole lives building empires on other people's silence. But we're not going to stop." Outside the glare of the camera, the industry was in turmoil. Agents called their clients with frantic updates. Publicists drafted statements and spin. Some whispered that this could be the start of something even bigger, a reckoning that would finally force Hollywood to confront the secrets it had buried for decades. For fans, it was a moment of disillusionment and catharsis. The stars they had idolized were no longer just celebrities, they were real people, caught in a system that demanded their silence. And for Will and Jada, The stakes had never been higher. They ended the video with a quiet promise. "We're going to keep going," Jada said, her voice unwavering. "We're going to show you everything we can. No more lies. No more cover-ups." Will added, "This isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about the whole game. And we're not playing by those rules anymore." The world watched, rapt. With every new revelation, the carefully crafted facade of Hollywood cracked a little more. And in that crack, there was finally a glimmer of the truth that had been buried for far too long. By the time Will and Jada dropped their latest revelations, the world was divided. Their videos, once seen as bombshells, had now morphed into a lightning rod for heated debate. Social media was a battlefield, with hashtags like #DiddySecrets and #SmithBombshell trending around the clock, and everyone, fans, celebrities, and critics, had an opinion. Some fans hailed Will and Jada as heroes. They flooded the couple's Instagram and YouTube channels with messages of support, calling them brave for standing up against an industry built on secrecy. "You're doing what nobody else has the guts to do," one comment read. Another said, "Finally, someone is holding these people accountable." For these supporters, every new piece of evidence felt like a vindication. They saw the couple as whistleblowers, risking their own reputations to expose the rot at the heart of the music and film industries. Fan pages sprang up overnight, dedicated to dissecting every detail Will and Jada shared, from blurry emails to tense phone calls. It was as if a whole new generation of conspiracy hunters had been born, united by a single purpose: to find out the truth. But not everyone was convinced. A growing chorus of voices began to question Will and Jada's motives. Some accused them of orchestrating the drama for clout, just another high-profile distraction in an era where controversy could make you trend in minutes. "They are just attention seekers," one tweet read, racking up thousands of likes. Another said, "This feels like a PR stunt gone too far." In the middle of the digital chaos, celebrities started to weigh in. Some offered cryptic messages of support. An A-list actor posted a single word, "truth," followed by a lock emoji. A famous singer shared a photo of a broken chain, no caption, but everyone knew what it meant. These subtle signals added fuel to the belief that something real and dangerous was happening behind the scenes. Other celebrities, however, were quick to distance themselves. A few deleted old photos with Diddy, while others posted bland statements about hoping for peace and resolution. It was clear that the scandal was becoming radioactive, and nobody wanted to get burned. Meanwhile, mainstream media outlets scrambled to keep up. Daytime talk shows hosted heated debates, with pundits split down the middle. Some called Will and Jada brave, others called them reckless. Tabloid headlines screamed of betrayal and scandal, while serious news programs tried to dissect the legal and financial ramifications of the couple's claims. One of the most dramatic moments came when a well-known journalist did a live segment titled "Hollywood's Darkest Secrets: Fact or Fiction?" He played clips of Will and Jada's live streams alongside statements from Diddy's team, then posed the question: are these two exposing a monster, or are they just creating a bigger one? The segment went viral, sparking endless arguments in the comments. Some saw it as proof that the mainstream was finally catching up to what Will and Jada had been saying all along. Others took it as a sign that the couple had gone too far, pulling everyone into a messy feud that could never be fully resolved. In the midst of it all, the couple remained unwavering. Will posted a video late at night, his voice tired but determined. "We knew there would be backlash," he said. "We knew people would question our motives. But that doesn't change the truth." Jada echoed him in a follow-up post. "We're not doing this to become more famous," she said. "We're doing this because we believe the truth matters, even if it costs us everything." As the world argued and debated, the personal cost for Will and Jada became clearer. Paparazzi camped outside their home, waiting for a photo of them looking rattled or upset. Friends and former colleagues reached out privately, some offering quiet words of support, others cutting ties altogether. For the fans who stood by them, this was the moment they had been waiting for, the final stand against a system that had silenced too many for too long. For the skeptics, it was proof that the Smiths had finally lost touch with reality. Amidst the noise, something else was happening. The drama was spilling out of social media and into the real world. Protesters gathered outside Diddy's offices in Los Angeles, holding up signs demanding transparency and accountability. One sign read, "The system is broken, fix it." Another said simply, "We believe Will and Jada." Meanwhile, industry insiders began to whisper about the possibility of a bigger reckoning. One anonymous executive told a reporter, "This is going to change how people do business in this town. Everyone's scared, because everyone knows there's more to lose." Diddy's team tried to hold the line. They issued a statement calling for an end to the smear campaign and hinted at upcoming legal action against Will and Jada. The threat only deepened the sense of drama. Was the couple about to face the fight of their lives? The final scene of this chapter played out online. Will posted a video of himself alone in his study. His voice was quiet but firm. "We're not backing down," he said. "We're not going to let the backlash or the noise stop us. The truth doesn't stop being true just because it's uncomfortable." Jada appeared beside him, her eyes tired but fierce. "We see the backlash," she said. "We feel it. But we also see the people who are finally speaking up because we did. And that's worth everything." As the video ended, the internet was left buzzing. The couple had become lightning rods for a story that was bigger than any two people. The public backlash was real, but so was the hunger for the truth. Outside, the world kept turning, Hollywood kept churning out blockbusters, record deals kept getting signed, but something had shifted. The Smiths had pulled back the curtain, and no matter how loud the backlash got, there was no going back. The world had been hanging on every word, every cryptic post, every blurry document Will and Jada had shared. The couple had promised a final revelation, one that would tie it all together. When the time came, millions tuned in, their eyes fixed on their screens as the couple prepared to speak one last time. The video began in the familiar setting of their home studio, but the mood was different. Will and Jada sat side by side, their expressions calm but resolute. "This isn't just another chapter," Will began, his voice steady. "This is the final word, for now." Jada took a deep breath. "We've spent weeks showing you pieces of the puzzle. Files, stories, the truth behind the headlines. But tonight, we're going to show you everything we have." She held up a flash drive, the tiny piece of plastic somehow seeming more powerful than any of the celebrity scandals that had come before. "This," she said softly, "is the complete record. Emails, payments, messages, every piece we could verify." Will leaned forward. "We know what this means. We know what we're risking. But we promised you the truth, and we're keeping that promise." The chat was a frenzy of anticipation and fear. Are they really going to do it? What if Diddy sues them? This is history in the making. As the couple spoke, they laid out everything they had. Screenshots of wire transfers to shell companies. Voicemails from frightened insiders. Emails hinting at secret deals and whispered threats. They didn't drop every name or every detail. Some of the evidence was too sensitive, they said. But they shared enough to paint a clear picture, a network of money and power designed to protect a single man, and the people who helped him build his empire. Diddy's team had already threatened legal action. Just hours before the live stream, a statement from his lawyers warned that any further defamatory statements would be met with swift and severe consequences. But Will and Jada didn't flinch. "We're not scared," Will said simply. "We're done being scared." The final moments of the video were the most shocking. Will and Jada had one last bombshell to drop, a new accusation that even their staunchest supporters hadn't seen coming. "There's one more thing you need to know," Jada said, her voice tight with emotion. "One more truth we can't keep to ourselves." She reached for a document and held it up to the camera. It was a blurry scan of a contract. Its authenticity yet to be confirmed, but its implications enough to stop the internet in its tracks. "This," Jada said, "is a deal that goes back years. It shows that what we've been talking about isn't just about us, or even Diddy. It's about a system that reaches deep into Hollywood. A system that's built on silence, fear, and control." Will took over, his voice quiet but intense. "We can't prove everything in this document, yet. But it's real. And it's why we're not stopping here." As the video ended, Jada looked directly into the camera. "You've seen the truth. Now it's up to you to decide what comes next." The screen went dark, but the world was anything but quiet. The final word had been spoken, but the conversation was only beginning. News outlets raced to cover the final revelations. Primetime anchors debated the ethics and the fallout. Was this the start of a new era of accountability, or just another messy celebrity feud that would fade with the next news cycle? The legal threats from Diddy's team grew louder, but so did the voices of fans demanding answers. Outside, protesters gathered in front of Diddy's offices once more. Some carried signs that said, "We believe you." Others just held up copies of the screenshots Will and Jada had shared, symbols of a truth they refused to let be buried. The Smiths themselves stayed mostly quiet after the final video. They posted one last message: "We've said what we needed to say. The rest is up to the world." It was a simple statement, but it carried the weight of everything they had shared. In the days that followed, the impact of their revelations rippled across the industry. Record labels and studios scrambled to review old contracts and re-evaluate old relationships. Executives held closed-door meetings, trying to decide how to move forward in a world that suddenly seemed less certain, less safe. For Will and Jada, the decision to speak out came with a cost. Friends and former allies turned their backs, worried about the fallout. But there were also messages of support, quiet texts from people who said, "You're not alone, and thank you for saying what we were too scared to say." The internet, of course, remained divided. Some called the couple heroes. Others said they had gone too far, risking everything for a fight that might never be won. But for Will and Jada, the choice had been made. They had spent too long watching from the sidelines. Too long letting the machine dictate the narrative. Now, they were telling their own story, no matter the consequences. The final word wasn't really the end. It was an invitation, a challenge to the world to look deeper, to question the images and the headlines, to see the people behind the stories and the systems that tried to silence them. As the days turned into weeks, one thing became clear. The world wouldn't forget what Will and Jada had done. Whether it was a new chapter of accountability or just another twist in Hollywood's endless drama, the final word had been spoken, and nothing would ever be the same.